You know, I got this microphone like quite a few years ago actually, and I've never really used it, but I want to break it out again. I feel like such a podcaster right now. Should I start a podcast? No, I definitely don't have time for that. Anyway, okay. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel Nunemacher. My friends call me Noonie. I have been wanting to revamp my YouTube channel for quite some time now. I typically post a lot of travel content and I love that stuff, but I'm just not doing it 24/7. So therefore I don't have videos to, push out like all the time, which is kind of a hindrance to how often I'm able to post on my channel. I've been making YouTube videos for quite a while. I think like maybe 3 years at this point. It's one of the things in my life that just like brings me so much joy. I love YouTubers. I love YouTube content, and I've just been wanting to post more on my channel. And so I'm gonna have to find different topics to talk about. What do I want to like do on my channel? Like what's important to me? And something that I've had my mind on quite a bit recently is mental health. I wanted to talk about things that I find important about mental health, and hopefully that is of interest and value to you. And I came across this idea, this mental health thing that I haven't done in a while, but that's why we're breaking the skill back out today, is this idea of an unsent letter. And I want to talk about what that is, the components of an unsent letter, what the benefits are, and how you can write one to aid in your mental health journey. So I'm going to tell you about what an unsent letter is, tips for writing one. I'm going to walk you through actually writing one, and then finally burning it. The last step is super important. Like, don't skip it. So with that being said, unsent letter, what is it? So an unsent letter is quite literally just a letter that you write to somebody that you have fallen out of touch with. So this could be like a former relationship, this could be a friendship, maybe a parent or guardian figure that isn't in your life anymore. It is somebody that you have like lost contact with, or maybe you just have a strained relationship with at the moment. Maybe you're not necessarily completely out of contact, but an unsent letter is a way that you can communicate your feelings about a situation that hurt you, or maybe multiple situations that you can convey how it made you feel and basically process your emotions in a healthy way without talking to that person. Maybe they are not on this earth anymore. Maybe they passed away. Maybe you dropped contact. Maybe they blocked you. Maybe you got ghosted. There could be a million different reasons why you are unable to process this with somebody, the person that you're going to be writing an unsent letter to. This can be really beneficial because you don't have to like have a specific situation to be like, oh, I need to get my feelings out and talk about something that hurt me. You know what I mean? Yeah. A lot of times I have found that it is just really helpful to cultivate a space to talk about like what has been bothering you, and low stakes. That's the whole point of an unsent letter, is that the stakes are so low. And an unsent letter is a way to process and honor your feelings regarding something that has hurt you in a way that is healthy and allows you to move forward. Confrontation can solve a lot of issues if you just sit and talk about the problem. But if for whatever reason, you had a friendship fall apart, a relationship that didn't work out, maybe somebody really special to you has moved far away, maybe somebody has passed away in your life, and there are just some things that you want to work through, talk through, process, and for whatever reason you can't do it face to face, that is where an unsent letter is so beneficial. Either way, whatever your reasoning is, whatever happened to you, it really, at the end of the day, with writing this letter, it doesn't matter who this person is, because an unsent letter isn't about the person that you're writing it to. Plot twist. It's about you, your feelings, processing how you feel in a way that's healthy so that you can move forward and like get that shit out of your brain. I think that a lot of us, when we get hurt, we just ruminate on these things that hurt us, and it just doesn't serve us at all. Those things are just like baggage, like sitting in your brain, and it just like hurts your quality of your life because you're just thinking about this hurt that you went through instead of processing it and like working to let that shit go. I've been there like a million times. Like, I understand. I've struggled with like the rumination process of just like endlessly going over things that hurt you in your brain. And the most beneficial, healthy way is to just like sit, process, honor, discard / pull it out of your brain and be like, oh, I already worked through that, and move on. And that's honestly like why I love this technique. It's just such a great way to move on, honestly. Because I hate to be the person that breaks it to you, but closure is a fucking myth. It is a fucking myth. You're almost never going to be able to convince somebody to sit and like give you closure, especially if like they're not willing to talk about it. Like I think it's like very case by case dependent. Every time I have tried to seek out closure in my life with like anybody that has hurt me that is unwilling to work it out, it's never worked. It's always backfired, and I've always felt worse. Closure is a myth. It is a total myth. Closure is something that you create for yourself. Because I think that sometimes people, you know, just for whatever reason, they just decide that they're done. They don't care about a situation, and that hurts. Like, it really sucks. But like, sometimes people don't care that they hurt you. Or, you know, if you give someone the benefit of the doubt, some people lack self-awareness to critically analyze their actions and be like, oh, did this like hurt somebody maybe? A lot of people don't do that. Like, a lot of people do not have the self-reflection skills necessary to think about like that stuff. In my hardcore opinion, I believe in closure, but I don't think you should like depend on other people to give you the closure that you want. You need to create for yourself. This is where the unsent letter comes into play. These are my tips for how to write one. So I would highly suggest you put your phone on airplane mode or like turn it off completely. I think that like technology is just gonna be a giant distraction when you're trying to get into an emotional headspace and think about a lot of like deep emotional shit. Turn your phone off or put it in airplane mode. Maybe play some like calm or like meditative music, like something to just relax. Unless maybe like relax by listening to metal. I don't know your life. That's personally what I would do is I would download a Spotify playlist that I find relaxing that I can write to for a long time, and then I would put my phone in airplane mode. Those are the first two steps. You need to like be intentional about this. Keyword is intentional. Writing a letter takes a really long time. Like if you're gonna like write a letter, I mean, I would time block at least like 30 minutes, like at least 30 minutes. It's actionable, it's practical. You just have to have the intention. That is the key to writing an unsent letter. You know, you're not gonna write one in passing. You're not gonna be able to like hit the depth that you need to hit in order to like truly process like whatever it is you're feeling. And this goes especially if you struggle with like tapping into like your emotions. Like if you're not somebody who like thinks about how you're feeling like on a daily basis, I think about how I feel all the fucking time. So it's like super easy for me to tap into this state where I need to like think about what are the things that are hurting me. But for somebody else, like they might not like do that very regularly. So like you might need to like put more effort into thinking about how you're feeling. The key to all of this is just intention. Write freely. Nobody reads this but you. That's why it's an unsent letter. This is like the time and the space for you to be like radically honest. Document the good, document the bad. The radical honesty is super important here. If you're gonna lie to yourself, this writing exercise is gonna do nothing for you. Nothing for you. You have to be honest with yourself. I don't know what else to tell you. And I think that the last thing that an unsent letter requires is giving forgiveness and asking for it in return. I think that even if you don't mean it, I think it can be super powerful to think about and meditate on this idea of like, what would it actually take to forgive this person? It's hard. Forgiveness is very difficult. I'm not an expert. But what I will say is that at the end of the day, it's better to choose that inner peace and to let go of the shit that hurts you and move on with your life. Honestly, and that's where I think forgiveness is really powerful. And when it comes to like asking for forgiveness in return, it's acknowledging that, hey, well, I have been hurt. I also have hurt others, and maybe I hurt this person's feelings too. I don't know, it's your situation. That's what I would do. And so with the end result, you know, you may never be able to never think about what hurt you ever again. But I think what the unsent letter is about at the end of the day is it is a way for you to cut the rumination off for that specific situation or person that you're talking about that's been hurting you. It's a way for you to remind yourself moving forward when you start to think about it, when it starts to hurt, to be like, hey, I already worked through that. I don't need to ruminate about it anymore. I don't don't need to dwell on it anymore. I worked through it. And then just like take a deep breath and like let it go and move on. It may not be that simple every single time, but it is possible to not let that consume you anymore. Not saying it's never gonna hurt you again, but you're gonna be able to have that reminder that, oh yeah, I worked through this. I, honored those feelings. I don't need to worry about this. And just practice like telling yourself that when those unpleasant feelings regarding the situation, regarding the person, creep back into your brain. When it comes to something like rumination, which could honestly be like a whole separate video topic, that is like the key, is that you have to like notice yourself ruminating when you're thinking about things that aren't pleasant, that aren't serving you, and actively tell your brain like, oh, you don't need to think about that anymore. Like, it is so possible to like cut off those negative thoughts. It's just the practice. Like, you have to practice it. And so taking the time to write an unsent letter could be a really great first step to being like, this is really bugging me, processing it and letting it go, and then like reminding your brain when those feelings come back up, like, hey, I already worked through it. I don't need to dwell on it anymore. That is gonna be super powerful and honestly could be life-changing. Truly, all cliches aside, could really honestly like change the game in terms of negative thinking patterns. So, all right, with that being said, my legs hurt so bad. I'm like sitting behind a little table. My like window is open and like the neighbors are just like looking at me. Hi. Yes, I'm making a YouTube video. Leave me alone.